I just got a message from a Euronut. The Euronut said, "Stop lying. I know it's hard for you black racist white people haters to do. Just admit that you hate whites and wish to demean and dehumanize us by stealing our history, our heritage, our very identities. That you seek to do us harm by getting us to think we have no history, no heritage, no identities, and no homeland to call our own." This message was very interesting to me because this message tells me a lot about how Euronuts think. Finally, we can see the real problem Euronuts have with Afrocentrism. Afrocentrism is a reminder of the true history and true historical experiences of mankind that make up world history. If we make you feel you don't have a history, that is not our problem. It may be a product of an inferiority complex developed among non Mediterranean Europeans who know they have no history. Afro Americans were the first blacks to write history. These blacks studied Greek and Latin. They read the Greco Roman literature and discovered that the Greco Romans did not mind admitting that 1. The Egyptians were black, 2. The Cushites founded civilization in Africa and Eurasia, and 3. The first inhabitants of Greece and Rome were blacks from Africa. These three facts are the ancient model of history. It is the Greco-Roman literature that state 1. The Egyptians were black, 2. The Cushites founded civilization in Africa and Eurasia, and 3. The first inhabitants of Greece and Rome were blacks from Africa. This means that when Afrocentric researchers confirm aspects of the ancient model of history, they are not showing racism towards whites. They are acknowledging historical realities chronicled by white Greeks and Romans. To claim seek the Afrocentric researchers seek to dehumanize whites based on historical facts first developed and elaborated by white Greeks and Romans is laughable. It is people like you Euronuts who are the haters, since the foundation of your anger should be directed at the white Greeks and Romans, not Afrocentric researchers, who originally began their research based on Greco Roman literature. We can't help the fact that the ancient model of history was later confirmed by archaeology, craniometrics, and the decipherment of ancient texts. Look in the mirror and see the truth, you Euronuts. If Greco Roman literature, archaeology, ancient texts, and craniometrics, a science you invented, make you feel the ancient model of history seeks to demean and dehumanize whites by stealing our history, our heritage, our very identities, and that you seek to do us harm by getting us to think we have no history, no heritage, no identities, and no homeland to call our own, it is a product of delusional thinking, since it was the Greco Romans who created the ancient model of history, not Afrocentric researchers. Afrocentric researchers, Afrocentric researchers understand that knowledge is power. They also understand that you cannot teach a false and distorted history. Afrocentric researchers should not be blamed for your inferiority complex, Euronuts. Your inferiority complex is a product of what you have been taught. It is a product of what you have been taught by many Western and European scholars, especially the British and Germans. The Germans and British created the myth that European history began with Greeks and Romans. They also invented the lie that the other founders of the River Valley civilization were whites. One of the greatest criminals in this whole enterprise was David Hume. David Hume wrote that many innocent civilizations were founded by people who were not, in a sense, Europeans. He taught that black people didn't have a history, and this was a lie. You Euronets accepted the lie that founders of the River Valley civilizations were black skinned whites until you looked in the mirror and saw you looked nothing like these people who you recognized looked like the AAs who live among you. Recognition that the black skinned whites looked exactly like the AAs you hate but envy made you feel even more inferior. You were able to keep down your fury until you read Afrocentric tests, which expanded the ancient model of history by confirming this history using the results of archaeological, linguistic, and craniometric research. You Euronuts hate me the most because I have taken your social sciences, history, linguistics, archaeology, and genetics to further confirm the ancient model of history and then publish them in journals. Mike and Iron Lion are hated because they have created beautiful websites that spread the truth. And Mark has made wonderful pages full of visual evidence documenting the truths that come from knowing the ancient model of history given us by the Greco Romans. If you feel Afrocentrism seeks to demean and dehumanize us whites by stealing our history, our heritage, our very identities, and that you seek to do us harm by getting us to think we have no history, no heritage, no identities, and no homeland to call our own, blame these emotions on the Greco Romans and the history lies taught you by your teachers, not Afrocentric researchers. These feelings imply that you may be sick, transferring your feelings of low self esteem onto AAs because you feel you don't have a history is abnormal. Face the fact that if you're not Greek or Roman, you don't have a history. Afrocentric researchers do not hate whites. If what we write disturbs you, that is your problem based on the lies you have accepted as a result of your schooling. You may find peace if you accept the ancient model of history, which has nothing to do with Afrocentrism. It is a model of history absent the history lies taught you by your teachers. You Euro nuts must take away the blindfolds and unshackle yourselves to a false history, to a history of lies, and then you will not be, in a sense, delusional. Then you will have self esteem and not a low inferiority complex.